From explosive outbursts to unexpected plot twists, these Judge Judy moments have left fans shocked and questioning everything they thought they knew about the legal system. In this particular case, our plaintiff here thought she could bring her ex-roommate to court for some petty disagreement. But Judge Judy was having none of it. She saw right through the plaintiff's plan and dismissed the case in record time. But wait for it, folks, because the real drama begins when the plaintiff starts sobbing like a scene from a soap opera. Does she think crying will change the judge's mind? Oh, honey, you must be new to the show. And if that wasn't enough, her friend rushes over to comfort her like she just lost a limb, adding the perfect cherry on top to this ridiculous ending. But let's be real, because Judge Judy can be a real tough cookie when she's annoyed by a case. The plaintiff should count herself lucky. Too bad, plaintiff. Better luck next time. But this got me thinking, what is it about courtroom dramas that keep us so hooked? Is it the high stakes, the drama, or the witty comebacks from the judge?
Sometimes police are stupid.
Maybe it's a combination of all three, and Judge Judy certainly delivers on all fronts. In this next case, things take a dramatic turn when the defendant brings in video evidence of the plaintiff's alleged assault. Judge Judy wastes no time in reviewing the footage, and boy, is it uncomfortable. We can see the plaintiff kicking in the door and wrestling the phone out of the defendant's hand in a fit of rage. Even though the evidence is crystal clear, the plaintiff denies everything and can barely contain her anger towards the defendant and the judge. But Judge Judy is not one to be trifled with, and she's not having any of it. She has the video played again for everyone to see, proving that when you don't control your temper, things can quickly spiral out of control. It's a powerful moment that reminds us all of the importance of keeping our emotions in check, especially in high-stress situations like a courtroom. But let's not forget, folks, that this is just one of the many dramatic cases we can expect from Judge Judy. Oh, speaking of dramatic moments, in this next case, Judge Judy doesn't shy away from asking the tough questions, and boy do we get an earful. When she asks the plaintiff about her adult novelty business, we can feel the discomfort in the courtroom audience. The cute and suggestive names of the products alone are enough to make us squirm, but it only gets worse from here. The fact that one of the products was returned without being cleaned? Yikes, that's enough to make even Judge Judy cover her face in disgust. But the real shocker comes when the plaintiff lists all the missing and damaged items she's suing for. Let's just say, the judge, the audience, and the viewing public knows more than they ever wanted to about this adult novelty business. Whether Judge Judy genuinely didn't know what it meant, or she just knew the plaintiff's explanation would make for great TV, we have to thank her for asking the tough questions. And let's be real, folks. This is just one of the many moments on Judge Judy that reminds us that this show is definitely not for the faint of heart. We're going to take a look at a dispute that involves two sisters and one very unlucky deer. You heard that right, a deer. When Carol hit a deer with her sister Eve's car, she did the only sensible thing she could do. She made a meal out of the animal. But as expected, Eve declined to have any of it, citing that she didn't want to eat rigor mortis stew. And to top it off, her car was wrecked. And that's where the dispute between the two sisters began. Now, let's take a moment to appreciate the hilarious exchange between the two sisters in the courtroom.
Rigor mortis on my back.
That is sick.
They kept a straight face during the whole thing, which made it all the more entertaining for us. It's just another day for them, but for us, it's courtroom comedy gold. But all jokes aside, it's important to note that consuming roadkill is not always safe. The animal may have been very sick with an illness, and that could pose health risks. So let's not go out there and start making meals out of roadkill, folks. At the end of the drama, the plaintiff was awarded a cool $4,000 to cover the damages to the vehicle. One thing is for sure, this incident will be remembered for a long time. In conclusion, while the incident may seem bizarre, it's essential to remember that people have different ways of coping with unexpected situations. As for the deer, it's unfortunate that it lost its life in such a way. And as for the sisters, let's hope they can settle their dispute and move on. Now, Judge Judy has seen her fair share of courtroom exaggerations, but this Tupperware assault case takes the cake. The plaintiff filed a lawsuit against her neighbor for assault, primarily because the defendant threw Tupperware at her. You heard that right. Tupperware. When the judge asked the plaintiff to clarify, she gave a live demonstration of exactly what happened, complete with exaggerated voice acting and variations. She claimed that the defendant threw a full cupboard of Tupperware at her. Now, We're not sure about you, but we find it hard to believe that someone would throw a whole cupboard of Tupperware at someone else. Despite the plaintiff's poor acting skills, the court and anyone who cared to see past the theatrics couldn't find any merit in her claim. Part of the crowd struggled to contain their laughter, while Judge Judy couldn't wait for the end of the dramatic case. In the end, Judge Judy ruled in the plaintiff's favor and awarded her $192 for her broken Tupperware, but not without calling the plaintiff unstable first. Lesson learned: even if you're not a good actor, being televised can bring out the drama in anyone. In this next case, we see Judge Judy's intensity and abrasiveness on full display as she spares no punches in her assessment of the defendant, Kathleen Kreftmeyer. Judge Judy uses the term moron liberally throughout the case to describe Ms. Kreftmeyer.
You're a moron. You are a moron.
The case involves a divorce proceeding after Ms. Kreftmeyer fell out with her husband. But this is no ordinary divorce case, folks. Oh no, it's much juicier than that. You see, Ms. Kreftmeyer made the questionable decision to inform her 6-year-old daughter that she was an illegitimate child. Ms. Kreftmeyer stated that she made this decision because she didn't believe in keeping secrets from her children. But the judge and the jury were shocked at her callousness and lack of consideration for her daughter's mental and emotional well-being. Can you blame them? We sure can't. The judge also believed that Ms. Kreftmeyer's reaction was to spite her husband and not to ease their daughter into their divorce situation. Come on, Ms. Kreftmeyer, let's be real here. Although the story was true, the judge believed that the child didn't deserve to hear this information under those circumstances. And boy, did Judge Judy make her feelings clear. She called Ms. Kreftmeyer a moron, not once, not twice, but 3 times to her face. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Judge Judy concluded the case by saying that Ms. Kreftmeyer is a good example of why people should take tests before having children. Her tone and clear spite for the defendant shocked many viewers. We can only imagine what people must have been thinking as they watched this drama unfold. Court cases can push people to do some pretty desperate things, especially when real monetary consequences are at stake. And that's exactly what happened to Davisha Thomas when she found herself facing a hefty fine, or even worse, a jail sentence due to expired insurance. In a last-ditch effort to deceive the judge and avoid the consequences of her action, Ms. Thomas resorted to a bizarre gasping technique every time the judge pointed out a discrepancy in her story. We mean, who does that? It was like watching a bad movie with an even worse actress. To make matters worse, Ms. Thomas responded to several of the judge's questions with an exaggerated gasp, making it almost impossible to hear the case. Although misguided, she thought these gasps would seek sympathy and paint her as a victim of circumstances. But little did she know that Judge Judy was not having any of it. At one point, after Ms. Thomas claimed to be unaware of a $900 bill paid by the plaintiff, the judge actually laughed aloud. That's how much Judge Judy wasn't buying the loud gasps. You go, Judge Judy. We love a good laugh. Luckily for us, Judge Judy wasn't fooled by Ms. Thomas's antics. And it turns out she wasn't as good an actor as she thought. In this case, Ms. Thomas's desperate times call for desperate measures stunt didn't work in her favor. But hey, we can't blame her for trying, right? We all make mistakes, but it's how we handle them that defines us. Still, this case shocked many people in the courtroom and viewers alike. It just goes to show that court cases can push people to do some pretty wild things. But if there's one thing we know for sure, it's that Judge Judy will always be there to keep things real and put people in their place.